Okay, random bonus episode. Apparently, we're now in the middle of a heated national debate about whether or not teaching boys and young men in schools to be respectful to women is going too far. And the arguments being presented against this course of action seem to be two, right? The first one is, well, they'll only rebel and then they'll just run off and listen to Andrew Tate and Jordan Peterson and whoever the latest douchebag du jour is. But well, surely young people can listen to what's being said to them and analyse it. If the argument is, well, if you try and teach people something, they'll only rebel against it, then by that argument, home economics lessons should just be like, right, burn the shit out of this inedible poison. And gym lessons should be like, sit still, don't move, do not get any exercise, smoke cigarettes. I mean, we should cancel all school, presumably, because the reaction to it will only be to rebel and do the opposite. Instead, we should ban children from going to school and basically operate a full Taliban policy, because as we all know, young women in Afghanistan are now the best educated in the world because they've kicked back. It doesn't work like that. That is not how teaching people stuff works. Like, if that is what's happening, you're teaching so badly that should be questioned and things should be taught well and more thoroughly and more carefully. The second argument that's being given is like, well, this will only make young men feel guilty. I mean, they're being made to feel bad about themselves. But if teaching people that it is right to treat women respectfully and not harass or abuse them makes you feel guilty, you're the problem already. In fact, it seems to be largely adult men who are going, well, this will make them feel guilty. What have you done? Have a think about that, because I don't really believe that the vast majority of men hear what sexual harassment is and go, shit, I'm a terrible person. And if you do, maybe it's because you're a terrible person. And it's just as well we've gotten to you with some information before it gets any worse. So here's the radical Kate Smurthwaite point of view. No, we haven't gone too far. What we've actually done is not gone far enough, because we don't just need to teach young men how to find the right boundaries so they don't harass and abuse women. We actually need to teach young men and young women the whole history of the battle for women's rights and equality and the gains that have been made and the backlash that's been faced and the current state of play and how unequal things still are here and around the world. Because only when we see the scale of the problem and how tough the battle has been so far can we really put it into context and understand why we need to put so much effort into fighting it and how we need to be looking for it right across the board. And we also need to teach young women the language to use when they're made to feel uncomfortable and discriminated against and like they're up against a brick wall trying to forge ahead with their lives, because then they're able to identify the problem and talk to other women and work together to find solutions. On top of it, which we need to look at the role models that young men are currently being presented with, because right across our media, it's not just the Andrew Tates and the Jordan Petersons who are being put in front of them. It's all kinds of other vile and obnoxious messages that are really deeply embedded in our culture. And once we challenge those and start to give young men positive role models, and young women too, we could actually make a whole lot more change. And I was actually invited to go on TV this week and discuss exactly this topic. And the only reason that the piece was dropped was because the guy I was supposed to be debating against, when I pointed out to the producers what his social media looked like, they decided actually he wasn't a great person to be put on air. So maybe score one for changing the battleground just one tiny little bit, but also score -1 for the fact that anybody was even considering putting a guy on TV whose Twitter account had him retweeting Putin. But that's the state of play, and we definitely need to do something about it. Not just what's been proposed, but in my view, a great deal more as well. See you next time. Increasingly, the mainstream media is terrible at informing the public of what is really going on. I'm only able to make these videos because people are generous enough to sponsor me making them, and if you're able to be a part of that, I would hugely appreciate it. It can cost as little as $1 a month, and you'll get loads of fun bonus content and lots of extras from me and my undying gratitude. I also massively appreciate it if you're able to like, share these videos and let people out there know what's going on.